And good morning, everybody. PJ here. Got all this laid out. Kind of show just my experiences with some of these antennas and talk about their purposes and where you can where they shine, I guess, where they wouldn't shine so much. Uh, if I say that right. What's come up is a guy looking for kind of the same thing I was when I got started trying to go mobile. He's wanting basically a all-in-one package. One radio. Everybody wants that. They want the radio that does 2 meter, 440, and HF, and one antenna that does it all. Let me turn that radio down. Uh, they are those systems out there, but unfortunately, there's not many of them. The rest of them, you're going to have to pair a lot of different stuff with. The only one that I found, and I wish that I don't even have it though. I wish I did, but maybe one day you could find one because they don't make the radio no more. And if you notice, I've got the Yaesu 891 sitting there, HF only. They make the 857D. They don't make it anymore, I guess to say. They made the 857D, which was 2 meter and HF. I think it did 440, 2 meter, 440, and HF in a package that size right there. That radio, this radio, and about any other newer Yaesu radio, FT, the 991A, FTDX10, will pair with this antenna right here. This is a Yaesu 120A. It is a screwdriver antenna, just like this screwdriver antenna, which is a Tarheel 100, model 100. It's just a smaller version of it. But I believe with the 857D, to make it work with 2 meters, you got to have a duplexer in between so it'll switch to the coax, and that way you can run it. That's the only package that I know of that is that simple. I don't know why Yaesu quit making 857D, especially since they come out with that antenna, because a radio that size, 2 meter, 440, and HF, and that antenna would be perfect, in my opinion, for mobile. Saying that, when I say perfect, that's as a package. That's not for the best signal or anything like that, because there's trade-offs. This is a smaller antenna. The Q factor is different than this one. This is a much larger coil, much larger antenna. This one does 10 meter through 80 meter. You can change out the whips. This is 5-foot whip. I believe you can go all the way up to a 8 or a 12-foot whip. I can't remember. I think maybe a 12-foot whip. And changing that changes that more metal you've got in the air, better your signal's going to be. This is a big system. You can use this with any HF radio. It's HF only. It won't do 2 meters. But you can use it with any HF. It's a lot bigger. You got to buy the bracket. You got to buy the antenna. It's a lot more expensive option. I built this to be able to change out from one vehicle to the other. With just a simple couple of pins that go in these holes, an old satellite mount that's in the bed of my trucks. I'm gonna try to keep this on track because there's so much information that I could talk about on all of these, and there's a reason I have all of these, because they all don't do just one thing. Like I say, this one right here, if I had the 857D and a duplexer, I wouldn't need a 2 meter mobile in my truck. If I was just using that or to backpack. This antenna right here, you can take that whip out of it, and it's not that big. I mean, people take these and use them portable. Make you a mount, goes in the ground, put you some radials on it. Then you'll have a nice little, camping antenna that does everything. If you had the little radio, the one radio that goes with it, you'd be set for that. But I don't. So that's where the HT comes in. If you're going backpacking or portable, whatever, I have roll up J-PO for that. So that's why I've got that sitting there. That has to be in my arsenal if I want 2 meter. Just has to be, because I don't have the radio or the duplexer that does the other. Hope that makes sense. Like I say, perfect package for just all-in-one mobile unit. This 891, you'd still need another 2 meter, and it wouldn't run with this antenna. You'd have to set that up. The 857D or the 991A. 857D you'll have to find used. They don't make them no more. They're actually pretty expensive if you find them used because they're rare. A lot of people have them, don't want to get rid of them. 891 works really well with it. You just set the internal tuner in there for it, and it does it right with a push of a button. This thing will run up and down, find the match, you're ready to go. The 991A is probably the only one I know of in that smaller form factor that Yaesu makes right now. And it's not even that small. It's quite a bit bigger than this. It's a bigger radio. But it's the only one I know of that you would be able to do 2 meter, 440 HF with a duplexer on this antenna that you can readily buy right now from a store. Like you can go to DX Engineering, Gig Parts, HRO, wherever right now, and I about guarantee you could probably find the 991A somewhere. At least I think. I haven't looked. Don't quote me on that, but might be out of stock. Not sure. But I know they still have them. And you can find them on the used market pretty easy. Let's see. That's just talking about these. Like I say, trade off on signal. Yaesu ATAS 120. Works really good for what it does. It's a compromised antenna. It's a short antenna. I made a lot of contacts on it. But when I went to this one, those contacts I was making on this one were not near the struggle. This one got out a lot better than this one. This one heard the signals. It was just getting to them and getting that radiated power back to them to get the signal to them. I never got the good reports on this one as I did on this one. When this one was on the truck and I would talk to people mobile, I never really heard them give me a really, really bad report. I mean, I never was as good as, say, on my big beam or nothing, but, I was always seemed to be a little better than the ATAS. I mean, it's just a lot more metal. It's a lot more, it's a lot more antenna. I might ramble on this because, like I say, there's so much information in here. I have to write every bit of it down. I'll probably have to make it in a bunch of videos. But to get started, that would be a good package. It'd be an expensive package. If you're looking for cheaper, they make ham sticks, stuff like that, where you'd have to physically change out, and that's where this one comes in. This is my homemade, which is basically a screwdriver antenna. It just don't have a motorized means of doing it. I fixed this up to where this will tune where I want it by sliding this collar or turning it anywhere. It's got a copper, a ball in there, and it goes and touches these coils wherever I've got them marked. You got to remember what band that is. You got to remember where you got it tuned. So you got to get out of the truck if it's on a mobile. Now, if I took this, well, it don't weigh much. I mean, it looks big and bulky, but it don't weigh much. It don't weigh as much as the ATAS does. It's PVC pipe. I took and made took an old mag mount and took that out and put in the PVC. That way I just screw it on just like I do the ATAS. But you've got to manually and physically get out and tune it. And then you got to go in and check your SWR, make sure that it hasn't changed, especially if you get water on it, which is where this came in. I made this, and it just slides up in there like that. That way when it's out on the truck, it wasn't getting water in it. So big, bulky thing. But that's a homemade screwdriver. I made a lot of contacts on this antenna right here. I mean, it was good. I think I blew Roger's mind when I made this thing because he's like, "Oh, that won't work. You won't get nothing, man." I was talking all over the place with it. Now to get out of that, because he's also talking about portable, not just mobile, but portable. None of these antennas right here I just showed you would be my first choice for backpacking or portable. This one in the truck maybe, but if I'm already in the truck, I'm going to be sitting in the truck, so I wouldn't even take it. But so that's where wire antennas come in. These are little cheap in-fed half waves I made here recently. I haven't used these a lot, but I have done some QRP from the shack out of them. And there's other ones to make too. I've made more, but I just pulled these out because they're. And this is the smallest. This is a 20 meter. So this one only does 20 meters and 10 meters. It's around 31 feet, I believe, after tuning. It's a pretty small package. Then you have the 40 meter version of this, which is twice as long. So it's around 70. What is it? I can't remember. I think it's right around 70 feet, something like that. It's somewhere around there. I can't remember. I didn't measure it after I done it, but I remember I used 73 feet of wire to make it, and then I clipped it down. So it's around 70 to 71 feet. These require a little more to put up. A painter's pole or a big long stick or a tree limb, take and throw over it. If you're portable, it's a lot more packable than any one of these antennas. There's no way that you can do it, but you can't put that on the truck. So this one you could take backpacking, a lot easier than these, but you can't use this one really on a truck or mobile. So that's where this comes in. And I think that's what I'm getting at is there's not one antenna for everything unless you want to get into something like this. Like I say, if that's what you was going to do, I think this thing weighs like two point something pounds. You can take the whip out, slide this in the side of a backpack, put the whip next to it. When you get where you're going, set it up. I mean, if you got creative and didn't want the radios and stuff, it's got to have good ground. So I don't know if it'd work with like a walking backpack rig. I'm sure it would. It probably just wouldn't be the greatest. But I mean, you can have that thing set up and you'll just roll up and down right on your back if you wanted, if you was into that kind of thing. But like I say, that would be like the best package for all if you could find the radio. I wish Yaesu would come back out with a model like the 857D because I mean they got this antenna. Why not? It's a small. I'll slide this thing right in my backpack. I mean, if I had 2 meter on it, pair that with a duplexer and man, I'd be ready to roll. And when you get up to camp, you'd have 2 meters and everything. But anyway, like I say, there's a lot I could go into on this. A lot of stuff that I don't really know and don't know how to explain it in a way in a short video that would really make a lot of sense. But you can go in so many directions with this. So for one, you've got to figure out what it is you want to do. Or you primarily want mobile. Say like him, he's commuting back and forth to work. He's wanting HF mobile here and there, but he might want to move that to his shack. That you got to come up with brackets that interchange, a lot of different stuff because you're going to have your base station set up. Because like this antenna works good on the truck, but if you just put it on a pole on the ground without putting a bunch of radios underneath it, it's not going to work so well. I mean, your truck gives it at false. It's still going to work, but it's not going to work as well as, say, like a big delta loop I've got up outside, or even a full in-fed half wave hung up outside. It's just not going to get that kind of signal. There's not as much wire in there as this one, especially on like a full wave delta loop. So if you want to interchange like that, I mean, you've got to come up with systems. you'd have to be able to do it. This one would be the easiest. You can make one at the house, man. When you come home, you unscrew this off of the vehicle, take it on your already made bracket that you have out in the yard or whatever, hooked up to your coax, already hooked up to your house, and screw it on there, and you're still going to get some decent signals. Like I say, it's not going to be the greatest, but it's going to work. Same with something like this that you make. This one's a little more difficult to make. It's a lot easier to buy something like this, a screwdriver, but this one was fun to make. And I worked a long time. I made different versions of this before I got it done. And like this one, man, that's a big one. Then I've got this one. You see the tap points on it. So you can have fun with it. You can make all kinds. This was the first one I done. This was out of coated wire. You can see where all the places I tapped into it to figure out where the SWR was and everything, put screws in it. This was mainly my experimental piece here. But that and the others, you got this, which is a lot slicker, a lot bigger. I found out bigger coil was better. This one's 10 through 40. I was pretty proud of this one. And I could stick this on a post in the ground, throw some radios out, put that whip in it. Man, it works. It works as good as this antenna, I know. And the signals coming in are about as good as this one, but the radiated power out of this one doesn't seem near as good as this one. I don't, I'm always a little less on them, it seems like, than when I was on that one. And I'm kind of rambling because there's no real set antenna that you're going to get or kit that's going to be perfect for everything. There's going to be compromises and trade-offs in every one of them. So you got to sit down and figure out what it is you want to do, what kind of route you want to go. And I know that's hard. There's so many radios and antennas and advertising and all that stuff out there. It makes it real difficult for somebody new, especially, or just getting into it, to come up with a decision on that. That's where people like me, I guess, who have put a lot of time, effort, and money experimenting in this stuff, kind of helps. Like I say, I'm not the end all be all. There's some people way smarter than me in this, and they've taught me a lot. But I've also experimented a lot. I'm not one that just takes what they say is a word. I actually put it to the test, and I will see. If you can find this right here, and you're wanting what he's talking about, this, in my opinion, would be probably the best way to go. If you can get the radio that does 2 meter 440 and that, because that's what this antenna is designed to do. This one does 2 meters through 10 meters. It goes all the way. Might even do 6 meter. Yeah, I think it might do. Yeah, it does do 6 meters. So it goes all the way through. You need a duplexer and you need a radio that does 2 meter 440. This one's just HF, so this would be no different than just using this radio on this one or this one or this one or this one. It doesn't matter. But this one will operate this antenna. 991A would probably be the next one up, which is a much bigger radio than this. It's doable for mobile. Henry has one in his F-150 right in the console area, and it doesn't look bad or anything. It actually looks really good the way he's got it in there. That's probably about the smallest 2 meter 440 HF rig that Yaesu makes right now. That would pair with this one that you can readily buy. I think I've already said that. But there's a lot of other radios out there too. You've got 7100 from ICOM, which I think they're the only two companies that make a shack in the box type radio. But that radio won't work with this antenna. So then you're going to have HF antenna and a 2 meter antenna. You're going to have 2 runs of coax. So trade-offs. I mean, there's a lot to it. I think Yaesu hit it out of the park when they done this. The only thing that they're lacking on right now, in my opinion, is making that size radio back like they did the 857D. I don't know why Yaesu don't do that. They would own that market right there for sure if they did for portable mobile operations, because people love this ATAS antenna. But what they're using it with, I think, on a lot of them is the 891. So they're not even getting the full use of that antenna because Yaesu hasn't made a small mobile radio again since they quit making one of their better radios that's still sought after today. Like, people still want that radio just because of that. I'm gonna ramble on because there's a lot to this. So hopefully I've made some kind of sense, because I didn't get no paper out. I'm not one of them people who sit down and write out all this stuff. I just decide, hey, this guy's talking about this or whatever. We're talking about this. I'm gonna show these off. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm no professional at this stuff, man. I just have fun with it. But if you do have questions, ask me. Like I say, if I don't know it, I'll find somebody who does. But when it comes to experimenting, I've done my fair share of that on HF. I build antennas. This one right here, I didn't show that. That is my 20 meter Delta loop. It's got a that 4-to-1 balun on this piece of cutting board. This is a big antenna. This would not be easy to put up, or easy to put up as either one of these. You're going to need at least one good point that's really high, or 3 good points you can get it about 10 foot off the ground at least. 20 would be better, and it's not easy to put up. But anyway, I like making my own antennas. These baluns I didn't make, or Runnings did not make those. Easier to buy that for what they were paying. Now I wanted to test them out. Those were eBay specials. So I wanted to test them out. They work fine. That's the I'm not even sure. Just look on eBay and you'll see these things. Not bad priced at all. But anyway, that's it. This is getting pretty long video, and it could get way longer than this, because to go into full detail on why that's a better antenna than any of the other mobile like this one or this one right here, I could go into all kinds of experiments and stuff like that. Requires a lot of setting up and stuff. These right here would take a lot to set these up. These not so much. I got a painter's pole. They go right up in just a few minutes, probably about 10 minutes to set them up good. But that's more for, like I say, backpacking or portable, or you're doing field day, something like that. If you're wanting mobile, this right here is going to be the king, in my opinion, for a mobile antenna. Now, people would like, and I'm not just talking about this one per se, because there's different companies that make antennas like this. Scorpion, I think, does, and there's some others. Tarheel is probably one of the most well known, and they back their quality. At least they used to when it was owned by the one doing. But this has been a great antenna. Thing gets out. This one was a good antenna. It gets out. Not as good as this one. So like I say, I could go on and on and on about it. It just depends on what you want. Come on, Yaesu. Make another 857D with that display. Get it done. But anyway, this video is getting really long. Nobody will watch this all the way to the end. So, y'all have a good one. I'm going to say 73s. If you got any questions, let me know. I'll try anything I missed, because I'm sure there is, because like I say, I don't follow a script. Y'all have a good one. AK4PJ.